Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Friday build show. Today we're going to be building Elijah's PC. I was actually supposed to put this together yesterday, but we kind of fell behind with a lot of foot traffic and wasn't able to get to the live stream yesterday, so I apologize about that. But we are currently going live now and getting this built. We can get the ship to him. All right, so going off with the build list, we're going to start out with the Intel i7. This is a 12700K CPU. Great processor. It's got 12 cores, 20 threads, and a max boost of 5.0 gigahertz out of the box. It's a great card. We are building today with a gigabyte motherboard. This is the Z690 Aurorus Elite AX DDR4 motherboard. So it is a DDR4, but it does support PCIe 5.0 and all the other fancy features that an LGA 1700 Z690 board supports. So it's a great board to start out with. We do also have the contact plate for the LGA socket, and we are building with 32 4 sticks, 16 gigs each, 32 gigs, I'm sorry, 8 gigs each, total of 32 gigs, 16 gig sets. So it's a total of 32 gigs. DDR4 3200 megahertz RAM. That's the G-Skill Ripjaws. The famous Ripjaws. Then with the power supply, we're doing a 750 watt bronze rated semi-modular power supply. And then a Gigabyte RTX 3060, which you can see here. Great card. I like these cards for their ventilation on the backside. They've got some pretty good pins, allowing some pretty good airflow through the card. And then we do have some fans here that we're going to throw in the case. These are by Thermal Right, the TLC112CS. These are great fans for when you're on a budget and trying to fit them in there. This originally wasn't on the estimate, but I decided that they have to go in the case for best performance scenario. And we've also got the Assassin, the Peerless Assassin 120 SE addressable RGB. This is by Thermal Right. There was actually recently a really good review by Gamers Nexus on these. I 100% agree with them. These are great coolers, and they can cool some of the biggest CPUs out there for a really good price. So those are great coolers. If you're looking for a nice air cooler, look at the Thermal Right coolers right now. They're really good. I really like them. I'm going to go ahead and move some of this out of the way. We're going to get started with the build. We also have some power supply cables. Extension kits. Let's get started. How's everybody doing today? Let me fix one screen real quick. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? How's it going, guys? Nacho, I think this was from last stream. If you are back on here, just let me know and I'll answer that question. Must have missed a chat. Anyway, alright, let's go ahead and get back to it. Let's get started on the build. For the Aurorus Z690 Aurorus Elite AX DDR4 motherboard. Great motherboard here. In its anti-static bag. Look at that motherboard. Super clean motherboard. Yes, sir. No problem, man. I'm sorry about the delay getting started over here. Kind of fell behind throughout the day yesterday, so catching up today. This out of the box here. Go when I need it. Oh, hey. Box cool away from the. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to peel some of these peels so that they are out of the way and done. I don't forget them. I have a tendency to forget them, and then after the build is done, then I'm sitting there trying to deal with them, and they're a pain in the ass, especially after the build. Kind of an awkward peel here. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get the CPU socketed, and then we'll swap out the contact plate with the brackets that are in there. And then move on to the other stuff. I'm going to try to get this build done in about an hour. Hour-ish. We don't have a radiator to really deal with today. We do have a air cooler. That's the plus and the minus. There's nothing wrong with the air cooler, it's just sometimes, well, I guess they're really easy to install. I shouldn't be complaining. I complain too much. If you build as many PCs as me, you'll complain about stuff. Like a marriage. Alright, so we'll get a nice good zoom in here. And I don't know why the lighting is showing up the way it is. Alright, camera, you're starting to play with me. There we go. So I did move the camera a little bit to the little off to the side more so it can get around my hands a little better. I thought I just produced a better, you could see a little bit better of what I'm doing rather than looking at my hand, because I reviewed the last stream and I saw my hand a little bit too much and I didn't like it, so I was like, well, let's move that out of the way, or move the camera a little bit, see what it looks like. The new camera position, see if that helps with the viewage. So the reason why I put the CPU in first is to protect the pins as we remove LGA socket cover or clamp or whatever you want to call this. And then we're going to be replacing it with the LGA contact plate, which is a metal plate, goes over the top and just gets screwed in. Alright, there we go. We've got our contact plate in, our CPU installed. Let's go ahead and get the SSD done. We're going to remove this heat sink heat spreader. The nice thing about this board is it has the thermal pads both on the bottom and the top for the SSD. Cool. We'll remove the protectors for the thermal pads, and then we'll get the SSD out. And then we will need a screw, M.2. This guy came out of the motherboard box. Then we'll screw the SSD in. All right, there we go. We just got to put the ink back on. How's my day going? Day's going good. Just another busy day for Friday. So we're just keeping up with the builds and responses to everybody asking questions. In this industry, you get a lot of questions. Make sure you answer all your questions. I'm happy to answer them all. They're always a good thing. All my Empower shirts are dirty, so I'm still wearing my white t-shirts. That's my default go-to. Especially when it's like 80 degrees here. Got hot really quick. I haven't turned the AC on yet. I refuse to spend the money. DTE over here is not cheapest. So this is 32 gigs of DDR4. These are 8 gig sticks each, and there's 4 of them. 16 gigs per set. 16 and 16 is 32 gigs. There we go. We got all 32 gigs installed. We've got our 2 terabyte M.2 Gen 4 installed, and our Intel i7 12700K installed. Now we gotta tackle the cooler. This is again by Thermalright. This is the Peerless Assassin. And unlock here. Oh. But you unlock here. Unlock chill force here. Oh no. Hey mama, we need some immediate assistance here. I don't know, she's trying to hand me this.
Here.
Go with mama. Mama's got it. All right. So this is the Peerless Assassin by Thermalright. Got 2 towers. We're gonna have a total of 2 120mm fans on here. It's got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heat pipes on it. Copper and nickel plated on the bottom, which is cool. We just need to get this installed. But this will definitely ensure that the CPU stays nice and chill. Any long hours of gaming. So how's your day going, man? How's everything going on that end? Alright, time for the thermal paste. We always use the thermal grizzly in all of our builds. That's what we're doing here. Thermal grizzly. I normally do in an X pattern. And a couple of dots on the side just to make sure it spreads all the way out. Now on coolers, it's always important to make sure you peel the bottom protection plastic off. If you don't, you'll have a weird experience where it's not going to be cooling properly. It's always important to make sure you do that. Thermal paste won't be able to touch the metal. I've got an extra long Phillips screwdriver for these coolers. Specifically for these coolers. Got to get it to bite. There we go. We've got our heatsink mounted. Now we just need to add the fan. That light is bleeding into it. These are just clips that we use on the side that clip to the fan and clip it to the heatsink. That's all that's happening here. All that holds these fans in place. Little clips. There we go. We got the fans installed. Plugged in real quick. There, here. pull some of these cables to the back of the PC. Mount it into the key. There we go. Cooler's installed. I'll set this aside. Get the case out. This is the Landcool 216. My opinion, should have Case of the Year award all around. The value you get, the price you get it for, is amazing. This is probably the #1 case I would build in. It's at least my favorite. For the simplicity of the price and the value you get out of it, it's absolutely worth it. Nice price on that for sure. Oh yeah, good price on this case. I think it's the best valued case out there for 2023. Really no other better case to build in. What you get. What I'm doing here is adding 2 bottom fans to the case to help with the airflow. Not that the case needs it, or the build itself, but I have these fans. These are actually Corsair fans. They're not RGB, but they are gonna take, I like to put these on this case on the bottom to take advantage of the fact that it's mesh along the bottom of it. Down here is mesh, so it pulls air in and pushes it right on the graphics card. It helps keep that GPU cool. Fresh air coming right into your GPU. These are 140mm PWM fans by Corsair. I just have a whole bunch of them sitting here and throwing them in where I can use them. There we go. We got those fans installed. Alright, so let's go ahead and lay this down, and we'll get the motherboard installed here. Make sure all our studs are in the right places, which they are. Now the downside is, I actually got to take that heatsink off, and I don't know why I didn't catch that before, but the M.2 heatsink is in the way for one of the screws to mount the motherboard, which kind of sucks a little bit. But we need that screw there because it supports the GPU and the CPU, and the CPU is kind of heavy with the cooler on it, so we make sure that that screw is in. Help support the board. Absolute must. Alright. Well, let's go ahead and start with that screw, and then we'll put that heatsink back on. Still don't understand why motherboard manufacturers do that. First one I caught doing that was MSI. And then later they started correcting it by putting a hole in the metal, so you could just put the screw through. But I still catch some motherboard manufacturers doing this. I don't know why they do it. I guess they assume the board's already installed when you're doing this process. But I mean, I've always tried to put everything on the motherboard as, you know, build as much as you can outside of the case before putting it in, because that's just been the standard for me. What I've always done. I enjoy that. More room to work. I mean, imagine trying to install this cooler while it's in the case. Kind of a annoying process. It's just a little more difficult. There's 9 screws that hold the board down total. We've got 5 done. Good to go. Alright, there we go. All our screws are in. Our motherboard is mounted. Starting to look like a gaming PC, eh? Now what we're going to do is get some of these connections completed here from the case and the motherboard and all that for the fans. Then we're going to mount the top fans. Plug the GPU in, put the power supply in, do a little bit of cable management, and we're ready to rumble. Nice. Now you really can't see exactly what I'm doing right now. Just zip tying some of these GPU cables up. Boggled mess up here. Try to clean it up a bit. There we go. You can see up here I cleaned up the wiring a lot cleaner. All right. We got all of this done. Let's go ahead and mount the top fans, or do we want to deal with some of the connections on the bottom? I kind of want to get the top fans done because we'll have more connections that we'll have to deal with either way. So I think I'll deal with that. Before I do that, I'm going to plug in my CPS cables. These are the power cables for the CPU. There's two of them that we have to plug in. One's a 4 or 8 pin and one's a 4 pin. These are little cable combs that I put on the cables here. Keep them nice and neat. These are sleeved extensions. We got gray, black. Gonna go with the color scheme of the build itself. I don't know if you guys saw my Wednesday stream, but you can see that this is pretty much the same case as the Fantex 360, except for it's a little bit less of a pain in the ass to build in. A lot easier to build in this one. Not cussing as much as I was in the other build. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I do. Normally I try not to cuss, especially when I'm streaming, because a lot of kids will jump on here and watch me build. Not cool to cuss in front of kids. Where did you learn that language? Ben and Empower. Shit. I mean, whoops. Hey Ben, feel like it's been a long time since I've been here. How's it going? Hey Noob Sauce. Going pretty good. How about you, man? You know me. We're just building away. Building away. We're building and building and building and building. Alright, so now I'm going to do the 24 pin, which is a much bigger cable. That's going to go 24 pin. Hey!
Boing.
You went boing? Where'd you go boing? You went boing on the boing? On the trampoline? Oh. Awesome. Hey Noob Sauce, what do you think of the new camera setup? New camera setup. We're also using a different method for streaming over here. We're using Restream. We're trying it out. See if it helps my camera issues. Take some of that load off my PC and put it in the cloud. Seems to be helping, although I could just build a bigger computer. I guess I'm just lazy. Don't want to deal with that right now. Everything that I have on my PC, I just don't want to deal with it. There we go. Those are our 24 pin and our 8 pin plus 4 pin EPS cables for the CPU and the motherboard. Those are completed. Now we just got a bunch of cables down here at the bottom, but again, I want to do the fans real quick before we get to those. Hot fans. We got 3 120mm fans we're going to install for top, which is going to act as exhaust. This is what's going to be exhausting the majority of the air outside of the rear fan, which is also exhaust. Now, originally these weren't on the quote. We weren't even going to put them in, but I thought it would be a good idea just to throw them in there for the airflow. We added them. I added them after the fact. I wasn't gonna. I just wasn't happy with the airflow. I mean, it would have been fine. Like, not bad. Just could have done a little bit better by just putting a couple of fans to the top. Had to do it. Couldn't help myself. This is actually a rail that comes off in this case, which is another reason you should buy this case, because it's so awesome and you can do things like that. But it's I could remove it and then install the fans that way, but it's just as quick or just as easy. If it was a radiator, I might pull that out. And we might move this forward just a little bit. About there. Perfect. And these are 120mm EWM addressable RGB fans. Going to provide some of that addressable rainbow RGB everybody loves, as well as some of the airflow or exhaust out the top of the case, and it's going to be controlled by the motherboard, which is going to PWM to speed up the fans or slow them down as needed. Try not to build without PWM anymore. Most of the fans nowadays I use are all PWM. Damn it. Oh, that sucked. Went down to the basement. Well, I thought this was going to fit perfectly, but I guess we'll just have to move it over a little bit, maybe. Oh, I only did 2 there. Bye. Well, so much for being cool. Hey, Ariana. Anna, what's going on? RGB, nice. Oh, yeah, nice RGB. How's Florida treating you? What you doing out in Florida? How's Florida? I don't know why I have a Brooklyn accent all of a sudden. Make sure you come over for some coffee, all right? All right. Now, I'm going to be installing the last fan of the build. Finally! There we go. Wind tunnel completed. We got 2 fans in the front. We got 2 fans in the front, 3 fans at the top, 1 fan at the rear, 2 fans at the bottom, and then 2 fans on the CPU itself, 2 fans on the GPU, and then you also have a fan on your power supply. I think you got enough fans. Got enough fans to start up a Twitch channel. That was a dad joke if you didn't catch it. Alright, USB 3. Go right all the way up there. Same thing with USB-C. Pretty much just going to do the same thing. And our HD audio always goes towards the back, down here, where it always normally ends up anyway. Normal location on most motherboards, it is. All the same. Then our front panel connector. Lay around here. And so now we'll flip this over. I'll deal with these two connections because they're just going to slip back down below. Lose them. So that's the downside to put the fans in first, is you really can't see the ports, and that was kind of a dumb move on my end. I gotta move this real quick. Repositioning. It's all good, I can still get to them. It's uncomfortable. You meant kick, just playing. Oh, yeah, kick, whatever. See, I'm old, I don't know all the new trendy stuff. I'm actually on Kick right now, if you guys wanted to go on Kick. We are streaming to Kick, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We stream to all of them. Okay. There we go. All that's plugged in. Now the last couple of things are some fans and RGB from the case itself. By the way, where are those? All up here. Tied in up here. Oh yeah. Hold on. Lay this down. Go with this way. I think I want this to go down stairs. Yes. This one needs to go downstairs. I have an addressable RGB port here. I definitely have fan ports here. And once again, fans get me. This is where my surgical pliers come in handy, where I can get in small, tight places. No pun intended there. Go. Got them all plugged in. So the last ones we got to plug in are the top 3 fans, but there is a hub that is included with this case. One of the value points of the case itself is the hub that is included, which is awesome. It's actually a pretty nice hub for everything that it does. I'm gonna really quick put these cables. Cool. Cable clip. And we'll deal with the top 3 fans, which are up here. So plug these into the hub using fan 2, 3, 4, and 5. One unplugged on me. And we have 1, 2, 3 more RGB ports that we need to fill out. We just got to clean up these cables a little bit. We should be good to move on to the GPU and the power supply. Long reach. We're almost done. Gotta be careful with these cables because they like to pull off this hub. That's the downside, is they don't stay on very well. I mean, they stay on, just if you're cable managing and you pull on the cable a little bit, it likes to give, which I don't mind because it's better than breaking something. But there's a possibility after cable management here that something gets unplugged when we fire it up. That's it. There's no big deal, we can fix that. Trying to keep the cable management clean. So far, we're doing a pretty stellar job. There's some cable management for you. No power supply in there yet. Hey, Papa Goose, what's going on, man? Over on Kick. What's up, man? Alright, GPU time. Excuse me. That screw just vanished. There it is. Screw was like, bye. Our RTX 3060 going in here. Got some peels to peel. The Eagle by Gigabyte. Got dual fans. A little bit of RGB, I think, on it. Actually, not sure about that. But it's got a nice vent on the back side with copper heat pipes that I like. It'll keep it nice and cool. Gonna line up the slot, click it in, tighten her down. There we are. You installed. We just need a 8-pin PCIe cable. Which again, we have the gray and black sleeved. Go with the theme of the build. And a couple of cable combs to go with it. Sexy on. Really all the cable combs do is keep the cables nice and clean and suited. So your colors aren't flapping all over the place. cable columns are strictly static. All are down. Could build without them. Just doesn't look as fancy. Done. Put it on there. Nice and clean. Get something like that. Though we still have to do the power supply. But I mean, looking like a badass gaming PC to me. Yeah? Alright, so let's get the power supply installed. And then we'll fire it up. Woo! Yeah. Have to. Do I need to? My girl's gotta make me pretty right now. Hold on. We gotta look pretty for the camera. Am I pretty? Okay. Oh. Yeah, there's not much you can do about the hair. Pretty. Alright. Alright, I'm pretty now, boys. Hey, what's up? I got swords. You see? I'm pretty now. My daughter Chloe had to make me pretty. Thank you, Chloe. Beautiful, Ben. Sorry I'm so late, Ben. I'm over at my sister-in-law's house for a Mother's Day dinner. Hey, no worries, man. Just building over here, man. Just building. We're almost ready to fire it up and get the post, so. And hopefully it posts. Ruh-roh, Raggy. Well, normally this isn't a problem because I don't do the PCIe yet. I do, but... Alright. I got it. Here we go. I got the power supply fan facing down that it can breathe. There's a vent on the bottom of the PC for the power supply specifically so that it can breathe. So make sure when you are setting your computer up, Elijah, make sure you do not put it on carpet. Put it on carpet, it will suffocate, most likely suffocate the power supply and will be burnt out within 6 months or less. Make sure you If you have to put it on the floor and it is carpet, make sure you put a piece of wood down underneath the PC so it's on a hard surface, the whole bottom of it. We want that airflow to be able to get underneath it. And also, if it's on the floor, it's going to collect more dust and dirt and all sorts of things more often. Make sure you clean it. Keep it clean. That's just for awareness. If it's going on the floor, I like to tell people to keep an eye on that stuff. That helps prevent any problems. PC. Right. There's our 24 pin. Should have a 8-pin SQ. You gotta be kidding me, I did that. Didn't mean to do that. I got a desk, so it should be good. Awesome. So what did you put in this thing, Ben? So it is a i7 12700K, a Gigabyte Aurora Z690 motherboard. It is a Gigabyte RTX 3060. We got 32 gigs of DDR4 3200 in here, and 2 terabyte M.2 Gen 4 SSD, 750 watt bronze power supply, and this is a Leon Lee Landcool 216 case with a shit ton of fans, and the cooler is a Thermalright Peerless Assassin, which is an air cooler. We added a couple of fans at the top and a couple of fans at the bottom for the hell of it, because I can't help myself. It's a lot of fans for a computer that shouldn't get that hot. Well, it'll never get hot. That's the whole point when you buy a gaming PC through me. I don't ever want to hear somebody say one of my PCs is overheating. It will never happen. The only reason it does is if a pump fails. That's not my fault. We're actually going to hold off on the glass because there's some... I'm not going to put the glass on. What do you think? I'm going to clean this up real quick and we'll fire it up. Here we go. Let's plug her in. Don't worry, I'll change the view here so you can all see it before I push the power button. Unless I accidentally push the power button. Hey! Here, let me shake the whole table. All right, who's ready to see this thing fired up? You want me to push the button? Did I see Jay's video today? I saw Jay's videos all about Asus. I did, yes. Is that the one you're talking about? Asus, you're fired. All right, let's go. Hit it! I still like Asus. It's really only a problem for the AMD X670 motherboards. That's really the isolated problem. In my opinion, Jay's 2 cents is overreacting, except for I don't like the way, and I agree with Jay here, I don't like the way Asus is handling the whole, hey, install the BIOS to fix the problem. Oh, by the way, on low key, this voids your warranty. I agree with him there. That's bullshit. That should definitely not be happening. But at the same time, I don't think they're going to decline your motherboard warranty. I think that's just legal shit they have to throw in there. That's definitely a reset button. There we go. Right now it's all white because I guess that's what Gigabyte is running right now from default, brand new out of the board. not RGB, but we'll get that switched over once we get in there. There she is! Elijah, look! It's your build. And did it post? Yeah, I posted. We've got a post. You can see over here. All 4 sticks of the RAM showed up. Now XMP enabled. We're going to do a BIOS update first. But everything's there and running. All the fans are showing up and running. So there she is. Autofocus. Autofocus. I don't know why the autofocus isn't working. Nice. Hold on a second. Uh-huh. There we go. That's a little better. It's less fuzzy. I don't know why these cameras randomly do that, but whatever. One day I'll figure it out. I really want to build a PC. I'm itching again, Ben, and it's bugging me. Well, come on over and build one. I've got a few back here I gotta build. Yeah, I like air coolers. There's just something about the air cooler that hits, it brings it back. Back in the day, you know, when I was a broke man, I could not buy myself a water-cooled PC because back then they didn't have AIOs, and they did. And if they did, they just sucked. So you just had to do. It was like early on, you know, when AIOs were coming out. But they just sucked, so you'd have to do an open loop if you wanted water cooled and it to last a while. And that was just expensive. It wasn't like crazy expensive, not nearly as expensive as it is now, but it was still more expensive than just buying a nice air cooler and calling a day. You know? So you just buy a big enough air cooler and everything just works. AIOs aren't really necessary anymore either. I disagree with that. I think AIOs are very important because what it does, or what it allows you to do, is take all the heat coming from the CPU and move it to the top of the case and just directly expel it out of the case. So there's no heat from the CPU being circulated inside the case. So that is the huge benefit of an AIO, is that you can take all that heat and just get it out. And then therefore, the only heat that's really being produced inside your case is your GPU and your SSD and your RAM. And all of that could be moved along with air. So that's just the like main benefit of an AIO. So when you're running a really hot CPU, like an i9 or a Ryzen 9, you definitely could use an air cooler. But you get a benefit because, especially if you're running like CPU intensive programs that are peg that thing at 100%, that thing's going to get hot, and that heat is going to just be inside your case, and you don't want that in your case. So you either have to have some really good static pressure fans that just move the air, and move the air fast, or you gotta, I mean, the other option is just expel it right out of the top of the case, and then it's not even in the case. That's one of the benefits of an AIO. But they burn out, you know, eventually. They're like, they've got a good 3 to 5 year lifespan, I think. AIOs. Some cheaper ones, probably way less. Probably a year or two, and they start giving you problems. Like, I've got a cheaper brand in my PC right now, because I just wanted to see how long it lasted under heavy loads. And it's been doing a good job, and I've had it for like 2 years. And I have not had a problem with it. So, the fans are starting to get noisy, but that's because they were pretty cheap. They were cheap fans. But I mean, they're 120mm PWM. That's all you need. You don't need anything like super crazy expensive, like Corsair. But as long as you keep it clean, it'll last. It'll last a long time. Alright, so the last thing we got to do is install Windows drivers, do the BIOS updates, set some things in the BIOS, and then do all the Windows updates, go through the battle tested phase, package it up, and then it'll be on its way, Elijah. So, one step closer. So we should have it, I guess our shipping, since we're entering the weekend now, today being the 12th, tomorrow being Saturday. UPS does not pick up over here on Saturday, and our pickup window is already closed today, so it will go out on Monday. So Monday, UPS will pick it up, and then it'll be on its way. That'll be the estimated time frame currently. So it should be out on Monday. So you should have your tracking information on Monday, and if you have any questions in between now and then, just let me know. But I'll hit you up and let you know how the benchmarks go during the battle tested phase. But I mean, I don't think there's going to be any problem with it. It's build went smooth, the post went smooth, it's running smooth just right here, just on stock settings. Everything's running really nice. The temperatures are really nice, so I don't see any problems here. So just looking at it right now. You feel like you missed the whole stream? Well, don't worry, there's going to be another stream tomorrow. And then we have that Phoenix build that was supposed to be Saturday, but I'm still waiting on the glass. Unfortunately, the glass still isn't done. We could do the stream without the glass, I guess. I just wanted the glass here to show it off. It's so cool. That's the last thing I'm waiting for on that build. And then I got this liquid cooled build over here. Over there. That thing's been a pain in the ass. That one right there, I will say, is the demon build. The build that makes me keep building it. And what I mean by that is that case back there, the whole back of it is a reservoir. The whole back here is a reservoir. And everything is back in between the reservoir and the motherboard. Things open like a door. So whenever there's something wrong, you have to take all the plumbing apart because it's all hardline. It's the build that never ends. It's still here. So last problem I had was the radiator, which I did not put on there. It has a drain port, but it was covered by the case, so you couldn't drain the radiator if we left it that way. So I had to take it all apart to flip the radiator around so that the drain port was on the right side so that I could drain the radiator. Because that's important in a loop. I fixed that, and then the Lian Li streamers for the GPU, two of the RGB strips were out. They weren't working. So I had to take it all apart, and it was plugged into the back, obviously. So I had to take it all apart, and I broke one of the tubes doing that because it was acrylic tubing, and yeah, that was fun. And then what was the other one? Oh, the other problem I ran into was the thermal take fans on there. They weren't lighting up. So I had to figure that out. And guess what? All the hubs are in the back of the case. So after it was built, I had to take it all apart again. And then I broke some rubber O-rings because I had to keep taking things apart and plugging it back in. And that destroys the O-rings if you do it too many times. So then I had to go get more O-rings and wait for those to show up. So it's a 14-inch tubing, I think, or 14mm tubing. Millimeter. Anyway, that build, I will be so happy when that's gone. I don't ever want to see that build again. That is the one build that keeps haunting me. Over and over and over. So anyway. Alright, guys. GG's. Have a good night. Have a good Saturday. Or Friday night. I'm gonna go celebrate my brother's 21st birthday. I'm gonna get a hold of you on Twitter, man. Hit me up, man. Or Messenger. Or just text me. You got my number. Y'all got my numbers. Alright, guys. Have a good Friday. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out.